And we're back for the finals. Terry Thrasher and Mike Laziak one more time, one more match here at Dodgeball Toronto's Kickoff tournament. And Hard as Foam and Shred. It was destiny.
It was. The question was, can anybody stop Shred? We're going to find out in the next 20 minutes. Terry, what's at stake here?
First place and a bunch of money, I think. And I think just reputationally, if you come out of this tournament, which has been so strong, you come out as the champs, I think that does a lot for how people regard you as a player and your tenacity and your teamwork. So
I think you're right. This is an elite tournament with a lot of the best players in not only this country, but the U.S. as well. There's a lot of clout at stake in this tournament.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound too homer here, but this is a tournament in Toronto that there are no Ontario players left in this division. That does not happen often.
Very strong BC Hard as Foam team featuring Nick Grenier against a team from all over the USA.
Yeah, I actually don't know where all of them are based, to be honest, but like you said, all over, and it's taken them a little bit of time to really find their stride in this tournament, but now that they have, they seem pretty scary.
Who do you give the edge to in this match, Terry?
Yeah, it'll be, man, I almost don't know who I want to pick. I think I'm going to say Shred just because if they have gelled all the way, they've made it to the finals. I think their talent level is really, really high. I think Hard as Foam's got to have the teamwork advantage since they are actually basically a team. But even though their talent is tremendous too, I think I've just been really impressed by these Shred folks.
Yeah, you know what? They've adapted to every challenge that's come their way. I'm going to give the grinding advantage to Shred. These guys are so good at winning the battles when they have 1, 2, 3 players left on court. I'm going to give the big team advantage to Hard as Foam. I think when it's 6-on-6, 5-on-5, 4-on-4, I think that's when they're at their best.
And that's where the teamwork can shine.
You're right. These guys know each other so well on Hard as Foam. They've been playing together for years, training relentlessly. These guys are a weapon.
Wheeler was a little frustrated earlier. He thought Ko had been hit out. And that is the kind of thing that sometimes if you let it get in your head can be an issue. But I think Wheeler, a veteran enough player that it is unlikely to be a problem.
That's right. He knows he's got to move on and get on to the next play.
Yeah, he could be wrong, but even if he's right, like it doesn't matter like after a minute. So Ko and Valance still out there.
5-ball attack here. They go after the ball. Yep. They get him.
Yeah, they spend 2 balls to do it, but they're just making sure that ball in Wheeler's hands can't be used against them.
We're seeing on that play how critical it is to keep that 5th ball in your team. You never want to go down to 1 ball because you're always leaving one side unguarded.
Yeah, it's a really calculated, well, hopefully a calculated risk. Barbeau does interesting things tucking a 3rd ball when he's holding it sometimes, just between his knees or against his hip, just so he can keep his 2 hands fully active with the other 2 balls.
Interesting.
I haven't seen anybody else do nearly as much of that, I think. Valance with a good classic block there.
Valance doing a good job covering his teammate. We see one of these plays there. Valance has 2 balls. Sam has 1. You expect the throw to come from Chris. It didn't. If it doesn't come from Chris, that means Sam has no ball. So you know Chris is thinking, if Shota's going to throw at somebody, it has to be at me. And you saw Chris do exactly that.
And sometimes you just have to commit to those motions. Even if you do draw on the shot, even if you get out, it might be the right call to just buy that space, create the opportunity for your teammate. Valance trying to fake, and
both hit. That looked to me like it was at the exact same time.
I looked super close. In real time, I don't know how anyone would be able to tell the difference there. Both shots coming out high and hitting off the player and into the ground like immediately.
Straight into the ground.
It always feels bad if you threw one that just popped in the air when the one that came in and tagged you went straight to the floor.
Yeah.
So not the issue this time. Valance. Okay, he's doing a good job of selling the possibility of offense, but now Barbeau staggers back and gets tagged while he's trying to stay in bounds. It was impressive for him just to not go over the line, but Valance recognized what was going on and had the accuracy to make that 2nd ball count.
Great athletic maneuver. Yeah. You saw the patience from Chris pushing that line as soon as Shota let go of that 1st ball. Shota went all in on that 2nd one, put it a little bit too low, and Chris took advantage.
Yeah, so really close, but Hard as Foam clutches out the 1st point.
False start.
Yeah. It's always funny to me. I don't know, when the false starts happen and just all the energy is just one player who ran too far or too early, and everybody else is still not ready because the whistle hasn't gone.
That's right. You know, you see a lot of players who are very fast time their push off with where they think the ref is going to go, and sometimes they get off a few seconds or a few milliseconds early. That's why I like it when the refs wait a split second before calling dodgeball, so that you let those guys jump early if they want. You can call them out on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's an official policy anywhere, but when I am reffing, Cruz with a nice block there. When I am reffing, I like mixing up my timing a little bit. Like, I don't want it to be about who guesses my timing properly. I want it to be about who actually gets off the line at the whistle.
Exactly.
I'm not sure how other refs feel about that, but
I think it makes it an even playing ground for everyone.
Yeah, that's what I hope. Okay, 2-ball sent toward Giovenco. We've seen a lot of his defensive work in this tournament on this court. He's very, very good. He's a smaller guy who's able to just fold up behind those blockers so well. And covering that ball, popping up off Ko. Takes a friendly roll back to the shred side. Grenier just threatening out of the middle here. Hardest foam going to set up this time. Sandesimo's still alive out there, still just threatening.
Hardest foam smartly, wisely, keeping 3 balls on defense so that they can be more aggressive.
Ooh, Valens hit, and another hit as well. Grenier returns fire.
Gets a double.
Ooh, gets a double. That's a big deal because he lost 2 teammates, so that does help. And was there a catch too? Well, there's 1 player fewer on the shred side now. These points so far, it's only 2 in, but they're pretty close.
Yeah, that was it was 6 on 2 for a split second.
Yeah.
Now a 3 on 2. Nick, not afraid to let go of that ball from the back line. He is lethal. He knows he can make those hits, and it seems like Shred knows he can make those hits too.
Yeah, and I think Shred, smart enough, even if they don't know the players super well, they're smart enough to recognize from what a player is doing and threatening whether they need to respect it. I think that's part of playing at a high level, is knowing what you have to worry about from the other team.
Right, even if you don't know those players.
Yeah, some players are really deceptive, but I think a lot of us, you know, we can telegraph a little bit of what we're good at by showing that we want to do it. Giovenco doing a lot of work to keep his feet really active, and then getting tagged in those same feet.
Great shot.
Great shot indeed.
By Patrick David.
Yeah, I think that is the unknown player that we don't recognize. Finally finding his name in the roster sheet.
It's not his first time playing in Toronto at one of these tournaments. I believe he played on Cerberus at the last one.
Yeah, it does look familiar. It's always funny when I don't know right away what the player's name is and I know they're wearing someone else's jersey. But he's been a great performer. He's got a good throw. He finds that shot onto Cruz.
Great teamwork. I mean, Nick Grenier being athletic, staying alive, and David delivering the kill shot.
Ooh, take that, photographer.
There's Dylan. Dylan taking that shot like a champ. It's gonna make it's gonna look good in the highlight reel.
I'm sure he's saying at least he didn't hit the camera. And I like the courage being right behind the player. Like, you get good angles that way. You can really see how some of these shots, how fast they come in, how much the movement on the balls ends up being. Oh, Grenier tagged out, Barbeau. The great shot. Ooh, misses on the second one. He had a good opportunity. David now missing high. Counterattack missing. David coming all the way back to the line on his back.
Wow.
Brings his head up in time not to go over the line, I think.
That was exciting. A few opportunities. That was a great no-look by Shota to take out Grenier.
Yeah, Shota showing that ball almost fooled his block. Saw that ball kind of pop up over it, and different bounce could have been a problem.
Sometimes your brain does the wrong thing, but your hands do the right thing.
Both players going aggressive. And Shota makes the catch. The dodgeball show coming through in that one-on-one moment.
It looked like Shota thought he hit him.
Yep. And now we see ref Karim having a little talking to with this team. Sometimes it can be something like, hey, you don't make the calls across the line, you leave that for us. Something like that, just to try and keep the temperature low.
Yeah. And looks like Shota getting a warning for flicking the ball up as a ball don't lie sort of idea.
Yeah,
I'm sure it won't be a factor.
And despite all the offensive weapons in this match, we're heading into the no blocking period, and it's only 1-1.
Surprising.
And I just think it shows as well that both teams have great defensive tools too. Those defensive tools, as we mentioned, are going to change in this no blocking scenario. I always find it interesting, late in the tournaments, I find a lot of power throwers, their balls end up going high pretty often, and then once they try to compensate, they skip them low. It can be hard to keep things on target with velocity this late in a tough tournament.
That's right. Your arms are starting to get sore. The balls are maybe getting soft, sometimes a little slick.
Yeah, and now Hard as Foam going to try and deliver one. That one bouncing short. Yeah, the conditioning and the mental fortitude to come this deep in tournaments becomes more relevant the longer the tournament ends up going. So we've seen Hard as Foam show it. We've seen a lot of these Shred players show it, just in my case, not as a unit. Slow pace right now. Both teams want to make sure they play their game. Don't give up anything easy.
That's right. You see it pretty often. The first team to give up a major ball possession, either 5 or 6 balls, they get punished. So both teams want to make sure that they've got enough balls at their disposal. Balance for Simos. I feel like that's a good trade for both teams.
Yeah, it can work. Okay, and there's a nice grab. Burke's shot looked like he didn't get as much into it as you might hope. Normally he's got such a power arm. I think that one might have just gotten away from him a little bit. And that time it was Grenier taking out Simos, who was back on the court, and Decker traded off as well for Hard as Foam. Decker, one of the more emotional players on that side. You can see he's a very good hype guy when his team's doing well. Has the energy to pump up his squad.
We're seeing the pump fakes start to fade. We're at about that point in the night. People are getting tired. Guys have been working hard all day. The pump fakes, the guys just don't have the energy for them anymore.
And I also think part of what you're seeing is players are taking shots from safer distances. That's part of why we aren't seeing as many of them connect. I think Wheeler might have thought that was a trade. I thought 2 of the balls hit in the air. Whether one of those is what ended up going toward, I think that was Grenier, I'm not sure. Okay, they do lose Giovenco now.
There we see another one of those 5-ball possessions connecting. In sudden death especially, you never want to give up that 5th.
Yeah, like you were saying before, it's just important to try and have a defensive tool on each side available. Nice grab, Cruz falling back. Lets out a shout as he gets back up. Ball in hand. It's a big moment.
That's a turning point.
Grenier lets it go. Gets one in from the sideline. Grenier tries to move laterally, isn't able to do it, and then 2 quick hits. Shred brings it back from the brink. I
gotta say, Hard as Foam played that the right way. They were patient. They didn't get caught up, but just, you know what, a couple of great grabs from Shred that game.
Yeah, especially Dylan Cruz going back, catching that ball right up against his chest when he was flat on the ground. Like, that's a shot you have to take if you're Hard as Foam, and that's not a play you're going to expect opponents to make very often. So full marks to Cruz. I think that one really ended up turning it all the way around for Shred.
That's right.
And only 8 minutes left here in the finals. 2-1 edge for Shred. Obviously still anyone's match.
Hard as Foam's got to come out hard here.
Yeah.
They played that last match so patiently, and it didn't work out. You know they're going to come out firing at all cylinders in this one.
See the sort of common 1-for-1 off the rush, but Shred ending up with an extra ball for it. Nice shot by Simos, but blocked well by Grenier. As the ball gently rolls to the sideline. Hardest Foam is going to have to come to the line quickly. Shota Barbo going real low on that ball. Simos, it's good, kind of a casual delivery, but still sent it pretty hard into the middle.
You know what, for the small windup he has, that ball comes in hot.
Ooh, beautiful throw on Giovenco, sending him to the side. Simos, that one is blocked by Grenier. Wheeler, a little exposed, but looks like Grenier alertly recognizing that Simos would have tried to light him up if he took that counter himself. Xander Simos was in the air, did get clipped. He got good height on the jump, but the ball found him. Shred now to the line. It is Cruz taking a shot and Solberg driven back off the court. But Hardest Foam still with the player edge. I think Cruz thought about going there.
Yeah, you got to think this offense is going to continue to go through Cruz. You're giving him the fourth ball. You know he's able to block. You know he can throw those quick release throws.
All right, Wheeler ends up ramping one over to Shota Barbo, who does get tagged out but makes the grab first.
Great play. Saves the teammate, brings a new guy in. If you're Hardest Foam now, you're thinking, relax, we got a bad bounce.
Yep.
Let's get back to our game. Good
Play, bad bounce. You got to remember that it was a good play.
That's right.
And then on the Shred side, though, getting in somebody who's relatively fresh can, again, be a big deal, Dave. It's only been a short rest since they did start the point, but I think just having a little bit of a break can matter this deep into the tournament. That one's skipping just about a foot in front of Burke.
You heard Valence yell cross as soon as he released that ball. He's alerting his teammate that, hey, the guy in front of me is going. You can't always prevent the guy in front of you from throwing, but you can notify your teammates when they do.
Yep. So I like that call. Just shared awareness. That one pops way up. Burke gets tagged by the second one. And Valence is out as well, so Shred only has 2.
It's up to Patrick David. He does have 5 balls.
Sends a bit of a, I think he could have probably put a little more into that one toward Cruz. Puts a lot into that one and takes out Wheeler.
Perfect shot.
Yeah, Wheeler knows that was a long-range ball. He just didn't quite read it correctly. 1-on-1. David versus Cruz. David pops up, fakes, takes. That one is blocked and popped way up. That would have been catchable, but risky to take your eyes off your opponent in this scenario.
Yeah, you don't want to. I don't think that's the opportunity that Cruz wanted.
Good hard shot, but missing. Another shot skipping low. I like what the ball retrievers are doing here from the back. They're putting it to the side retriever and then putting it in play.
We know David's not afraid to throw both of his balls. He's done it earlier this match.
Well, there's a whistle just to say, tie your shoes. Safety first. Referee Matty there, very alert. One thing I appreciate about both of these refs, it can be hard to stay engaged when the matches go on for a long time. You've played a whole day yourself, but you can see that Kaheen and Matt are both still fully engaged in making sure this match goes the right way. Cruz steps into one. David, no ball in hand and not able to clinch that catch, so Cruz secures another point for his side. Shred 3-1 edge. They got 3.5 minutes to go. There is definitely time for Hardest Foam.
They need to close out this next game within 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, they have been so close, but Shred just executing a bit better. They're grinding a little bit better, as we've been saying too. Their mental game has been strong.
They're so good at. See, Shred has 6 guys who can all comfortably be the last guy on court and have the opportunity to win a 1v2, 1v3.
And so this is interesting. I thought the whistle was a false start, and it sort of is, but it wasn't one of the runners. I think they're saying one of the Shred players just was not on the back line when the point started.
Yeah, that's something I'm not a big fan of. I think if the guy's not in the rush, if it doesn't impact the game, do we really need to call it? We saw that a lot at Worlds 2 years ago or last year, and I didn't care for it.
It is a relatively small thing. Yeah, and it's an interesting thing, right? Like, does it matter too much if a player is in front of the line rather than on the line? And at the same time, it's a lot easier to ref if it's standardized sometimes, so.
Time may be a factor this game, given that we've only finished 4 games in 18 or so minutes, 19 minutes. You know, the hardest foam, it's going to be on their minds.
So that was interesting. Wheeler doesn't usually kind of turn away like that. He was in the air and had kind of his hip toward the ball. Very hard to get your hands on that cleanly in those situations.
Yeah, you don't often see elite players like him turn away from it.
Yeah, and I think, like you were saying, time's going to be a factor, and so we see Shred only throwing 1 under most circumstances. There's no need for them to force it. They got 1:40 to go.
Shred knows they don't need to win this game. They just need to force the other team to make 3 hard kills.
Yep. Force hardest foam to earn it. You don't need to give it away. Giovenco.
Not really.
Yeah.
They know they don't need to make hits.
Yeah. So they're still putting the ball on the mark, but they're not stepping into it and leaving themselves as exposed as they could.
Perfect throw by Valence.
Yep. Valence recognizing a moment to take Simos out.
We have 70 seconds left now with a 10-second timer on each throw. You expect hardest foam to know they've got 7 throws to win this game.
Yeah, paying attention to what you can effectively do in the time. Cruz with a block in the air. I know sometimes teams rush too much when there's 70 seconds left. They're like, well, we got to win this. But that's still 70 seconds you can work with. That's a bunch of times you can set up, call a play with your teammates, try and get good angles on your opponents. Cruz, a great block. He's been so good at getting that blocker out in front of those incoming shots. So he has been the target lately. 30 seconds. Valence, ooh, doesn't get a block there, yeah. He was aware, he saw it coming, but great shot by Cruz. Solberg tries for it, Cruz still blocking. And we're very close. Hardest foam only has 2 balls in hand. They're gonna have to make it work. Shred knows that, they're gonna force him to draw it out. Grenier tagged out, and I think that will just about do it. That is it. So Shred, it is a grind in the last match of the night. And they came in again as the 7th seed after round robin, but great execution. Their talent showing through in the end, their work showing through. Hardest foam coming up just a little bit short.
Shred, these guys are no strangers to being champions. We have a few world champions on this team, a few national champions from the U.S. national tournament. They don't look surprised.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's celebration, but it's not exactly raucous over there. They're like, yep, we did what we came to do. And now that we've done what we've come to do, it is the end of the night for day 1. We got a whole bunch of co-ed action tomorrow with the co-ed restricted division starting at the ungodly hour of 7:30 a.m. Sadly, I will be in that playing. And after that, we've got the competitive co-ed division in the later part of the day. We'll be back for the broadcast of all of that tomorrow. Mike Lazia, thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Producer Mitch, always a pleasure to have you running the show. And to everybody who's watching, we appreciate you so much. Stay tuned for more Dodgeball tomorrow at the Dodgeball Toronto Kickoff 2024 tournament.
Awesome.
Fun stuff, man.